Good evening, reprobates, degenerates. Welcome all. This is, I don't even know, we don't have a name for it yet. The Friday night slash Saturday morning watch along episode of something else. The
We got to
not
work on that
officially
name.
numbered, yeah, the not officially numbered episode of something else. What was this
There we
week?
go.
172? One episode number 172 and a half.
There we
This
go.
is what this is why it's hard to keep track of how many episodes I've actually done because like I just can't keep going at the right number or whatever. It's like we're
Nah,
at
you can't.
we're at 172 for something else. We're at 94 for Smoky Mountain. We're at like six or seven for bonus shows, and now we have this unnamed, unnumbered show. I swear it would sound better if I just labeled it all something else, and we were at like 270 or whatever the hell that number would actually be.
Yeah, doing things the smart way would be a smart thing to try someday.
That is not on brand for us. Like how I'm going to ask you a question here on air that you and I theoretically should have discussed in a like pre-show production, I don't say production meeting, but more like I message you and say, "Hey, what if we do this?" And you're like, "Sure," or "Nah, I don't think that would work." So I was thinking about playing the audio in the background while we talk. Like play the audio of the show. Like obviously stop when there's promos or whatever, but keep it low enough so we can talk like this and be talking over it, but high enough so it could be heard.
Yeah, that should be good. Yeah, should be fine. Now, at first, I could hear myself echo in your thing, but you fixed whatever that was, thankfully.
I don't know how I did that since I didn't do anything.
Oh, good job.
Okay, great, thank you. Second of all, Trey,
All right. Yes.
you said first of all, thank you for fixing the audio, and
Oh,
I'm
well.
waiting for the second of all.
Um, I don't know if there was a second of all.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna quote. There's a show that I love. It's on Netflix. It's called Dairy Girls, and
We've
it's
talked about
there's
that
a
in the
character.
past.
Yeah, okay. There's a character on the show named Uncle Colm who, like, the whole deal is that he just talks and talks and talks and he's boring. And one time he's talking, and another character just says, like, it's something like, "Well, what did you mean by that?" And he just goes, "Well, sometimes I just say something to get from one thing to the next."
I think that could have
That was
just
what
described our entire
that
podcast.
that was what the first of all was.
Okay. Okay. I like it. I like it. So we might as well talk about what we're actually going to talk about here for a second. So for the past 3+ years, actually 2+ years, sorry, I don't mean to lie to our audience here. I just can't. No, wait, it was
We're
it
gonna
was the end
lose
of
both of
81.
them.
Yeah, it was the end of 81s, and we're in the beginning of 84. So over 2.5 years. We've been doing Mid-South, or at least I've been doing Mid-South with the occasional co-host. And as a lot of people know, Bill Watts bought the territory from Leroy McGuirk. And I don't know where this came from because you and I torrent a lot of stuff. This kind of seemed out of nowhere. Suddenly there's a Leroy McGuirk episode of what's essentially pre-Mid-South from August 12th, 1978. And we saw this and we were like, this would make for an interesting show to do. And it was always kind of in the back of our mind, hey, someday we're going to do a bonus show talking about pre-Mid-South. And so that's what we're talking about today. And that's the sound of everyone who gave us a shot last week turning the show off this week. Um, for the people who are like, we don't like Mid-South to begin with, now you're talking about pre-Mid-South.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
sorry about your damn luck.
yes. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting show because I skimmed through it and watch it, but I skimmed through enough so I could take some notes for the show. And there are an absurd number of similarities between this show and the Mid-South show.
Well, I would
Like,
imagine that a lot of that stuff is universal. I mean, didn't Watts more or less learn the business from Leroy?
He did. But I guess it's just like from, we're going to get to it. Boyd Pierce is the announcer. Reiser Bowden is the ring announcer. We're going to have Bill Watts on commentary. Um, and I'm not going to jump ahead, but it's like there's a lot of little things that are like, this is Mid-South Wrestling, just named something entirely different. I don't even know where they are
Yeah.
because I don't think they're in the Irish McNeil Boys Club in Shreveport, Louisiana. If they do, it looks a lot different a couple years later. Um,
Yeah, well,
but
it could be, or it could be an entirely different building. Was it even
yeah,
Shreveport then? We don't
I
know.
I
We
don't
couldn't figure
know.
it out.
Like, yeah, I was trying to figure it out, and like cage match, and honestly, most of wrestling's records pre 1980s are pretty spotty at best. Um, so it's like I wasn't able to find
Yeah,
it. The only NWA, as is called NWA Tri-State stuff, I was able to find were some very spotty house shows. It's like, and I'm positive they did more in 1978 than on like 7 shows. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure of it. I don't have
yeah.
verification, but I'm pretty
And
sure that's true.
I did check, and my Mid South record book goes back to 1979 when Watts bought the territory. So yeah, that was no
God,
help. And my
God damn it,
I have
Trey's
a
book.
stack. I have a stack of the great Al Getz, his series of charting the territory books because he had a sale this week, so I decided to treat myself. And I have let's see, I have Leroy McGuirk, Oklahoma, Louisiana Wrestling Almanac, 1971 to 73, and 1974 to 76. If we wait another couple of years, I bet Al will have a 1976 to 79 for us, and we can figure out when the
Um,
show happened, maybe.
a couple of years from now, we're gonna have to like do an edited version of this show and throw it up there and
Yeah.
be like, oh, by the way, or be like a pop-up video, you know?
By the way, if you like the nerd shit that we talk about old territory shit, go check out Al Getz's Charting the Territory podcast. Fantastic stuff.
I like that we are plugging his stuff, and I can almost guarantee he's a lot more popular than we are.
Yeah, well, he
Uh,
deserves it because he does some really amazing research.
wow. I this we should go out there and plug a podcast who's less popular than us, but at this point, does that
Uh,
podcast even exist?
yeah, I don't think that that's a thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's dive right in here. So we're gonna press play and just go straight in. And it's gonna have the intro theme song and then also the and that's Trey pressed play already. Thank you, Trey.
I'm sorry.
Um,
I didn't
yeah,
know. I didn't know what would happen. I didn't know what would happen.
uh,
Oh, an error. Oh, I'm gonna do this again. Hold on.
what are you doing here on our show? I, I'm afraid
No,
to know
it's
what
doing the
Trey's doing.
thing. No, it's doing the thing
But
again where it won't show me the fucking like I can hear your audio, but it won't show me the
I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, and alongside
why
of
did
me
this
this
happen? This happened last week and I fixed it and I don't remember what happened.
in the past few weeks. I know that one of the reasons for the earlier part of the weeks was you was attending the National Wrestling Alliance annual convention, and I know that you found out in who the two world champions that are now recognized, Harley Race and Nelson Royal, right?
That's right. That's right. Now, there was a controversy about Nelson Royal's championship, as you no doubt have told our fans, with this Mexican
no doubt,
wrestler, Madrill. Alberto Madrill in Houston. But I
Alberto
understand that he
Madrill.
has, what is it that he's down with, Boyd? He's going to be
Hepatitis. He was unable to defend that title and give the return clause to Nelson Royal, so the NWA went back, and Nelson Royal is the world junior heavyweight
Right.
champion.
You know, a champion must defend the title against the fellow that he took it from within 30
Al
days.
Madrill has hepatitis,
And
so we
Madrill
took
was
the
unable
junior
to do
heavyweight
this,
title
and
from him.
that's an
Or do you
unfortunate
hear this,
Well,
Trey?
that's
rules, and so Royal does.
well, that's what I heard. That's very
Leroy, and what
it's
about
got to
the
be the worst thing Grizzly Smith has ever done. Oh, this was an NWA decision.
North American title from Paul Orndorff?
It's the most unusual situation there, and I guess maybe they're going to come. They didn't do that in the days that I wrestled because we didn't have the instant replay on television. But the National Wrestling Alliance has decided that when they have the instant replay and they proved who was the winner, and that's how Ladd got the championship back.
Times have changed and things are changing. A great card you and Bill Watts have signed for this week. We'll have the main event, Jose Lothario versus the Brute. And for all the kids, stay with us because we'll have the popular little midget stars, 4 of them in a tag team match. Right now, the contestants in the ring, Reiser Bowden with the introduction of the opening event.
So yes, we're gonna have the popular little midget stars on this week's show.
It's awesome.
And yes, wasn't Leroy McGuirk blind?
Yes, he was. I believe he lost one eye as a young man in an accident, and then he lost vision in the other eye in a car accident when he was a wrestler.
See, I thought you were gonna say he lost an eye for an eye match or something like that.
Oh, no.
So we got Paul Orndorff and Bill Irwin in there.
Oh yeah.
You might find this hard to believe, Trey, but they both look really young here.
Oh yeah. What? Look at you can tell this was the '70s. Look at the state of Bill Irwin's white guy fro.
Yes, and from the notes I've taken, this is not the last time we're going to see Bill Irwin wrestling this week, because apparently it's one of those shows. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So Orndorff, they were saying that he had won the North American title, I guess, and somehow there was controversy, and Ernie Ladd has it back now, and the face of Bill Watts has appeared on our television.
I see that.
Bill Watts has randomly appeared in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. By the way, I guess have you got your video straightened out?
Well, yes and no. I could not get the website that we were looking together to work, but I brought it up on YouTube and I have it at more or less the same spot.
Oh Jesus, this should make for a fun, interesting show. So
yeah, maybe you see, this is what happens. We never test out any of this shit before we do it, and and this is what happens.
Yep. Now, Al Madrill, it's funny, when you were talking about Al Getz earlier, I thought you were going to start talking about Al Madrill, and I hadn't, like I said, I'd skimmed through the show just to make any notes, but I didn't actually write down anything that was said or happened. So I had no idea they were going to talk about Al Madrill. When you started talking about Al Getz, I was going to bring out Madrill.
But I mean, Al Madrill is good too.
Yeah. A lot of these people, I should note, especially for long-term listeners of the show, all 4 of you, that Mid-South, that NWA, in this case NWA Tri-State theme is the same thing they used for Mid-South for at least a year into the start of our show, until they switched to the current theme song. And by the way, Orndorff is one with a full Nelson of all things.
How about that?
Yes. But here's a question. A half Nelson is a pinfall, and a full Nelson is a submission hold. So where the hell did they come up with a 3/4 Nelson for Barry Horowitz?
I don't know. Wait, so I was searching my database for Al Madrill, and one of the first matches that come up, you're gonna love this. The 4th match on the card at the All Japan Pro Wrestling Excite Series in 1978. Albert Madrill defeated Masao Ito by pinfall with 7 minutes 29 seconds.
At least that poor guy does a job. By the way, for those who are going to follow along on this video, this is not just like a weird ass editing job. No, they really went to a video of a Georgia Championship Wrestling show where, in case you didn't hear the announcer, Ray Candy is in the ring, and he's a very large African American man. And honestly, he looks good here, because he eventually, I think isn't he part of the Zambui Express? And he gets really big in a not good way, fat big.
Imagine,
he looks good here.
Fans of modern wrestling, imagine Willie Mack.
A taller Willie Mack, I'd say.
A taller Willie Mack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray Candy, the Candy Man, he was I don't know if he was a good worker. He was a guy who worked everywhere, and I guess everybody kind of liked. So Candy Man.
But did you hear?
I like the
way they worked
that headlock.
Did you hear what the name of the opponent is?
I didn't.
The Challenger.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, I love that. I love generic jobber names. Oh, jobbers should either be it should either be the guy who looked like he just got off work and drove down to do a job on TV, or it should be like guys who are like aspiring wrestlers, but they're not ready to be pushed yet, but they don't look like shit, so you just put them in a mask and they're like generic guys. Those are the two kinds of acceptable jobbers.
I hope we get to see this one day if we do lose our minds and keep watching World Class into '89. But I remember a story from Mick Foley's first book where he was wrestling in World Class and he was a main event heel or near main event heel, and they had him go out in the opening match under a mask as a job guy, and everybody knew who it was.
Oh my god! Oh, look, you cannot put together a wrestling card where if I knew everybody who was on the card, I would not know which one was Mick Foley.
Well, even 1989 Mick Foley stands out a little bit.
Yeah, well, he does. He had that distinct body type even before he kind of got the even before he had the fat ass. He had the wide hips.
Yeah. And I think that was on the show he did the scaffold match against Eric Embry. And,
that one, yeah.
when he broke his wrist. Because, yeah, I really don't fucking get scaffold matches. Like, I get the point of it is, oh man, you're gonna see this hated heel go off a high spot, but it's like those matches are the shits.
They always suck. They always suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking about when we were trying to figure out what to watch this week. We were bringing up James Storm versus Rhino in the Elevation X match. Like, that's what happens when you take two 260, 270, 280 pound guys. Oh, and Bill Watts has now appeared at the desk. What's his name? Ray Candy won.
Bill with a very full head of hair here. And
yes.
Boyd with more hair than we'd be used to seeing with.
Yes. Unfortunately, we're not getting snarky Boyd Pierce yet. I don't know if he will be on this show. But let's see what he has to say.
We had a pre-recorded interview with Cowboy Bob, so listen to those comments right now.
There's a lot of cowboys in this territory, aren't there?
Cowboy Bob Ellis is a name.
Well, yeah, it's Oklahoma, Louisiana, probably parts of Texas. Which cowboy is this?
With Cowboy Bob Ellis.
Okay,
Bob
I know the name. Yeah. That's cool.
Let's try to raise the volume a little bit.
He and I had a pretty good tag team going. We beaten everything out there. So we had a big match out there, and he got his old hair back up on the back of his neck. And after the match, well, he and a couple of his old Comancheros, they got me down and roached my mane, got a big old set of horse clippers out of the pickup and roached my mane, made me slick-headed. Well, I'll tell you.
Oh, I love this guy.
He did a lot of things to me over the years. But nobody has insulted and humiliated me like this Ron Bass. Now, people out
damn
there
Ron Bass.
Ron Bass ain't got a full
damn that Ron Bass.
IQ of about a quarter pound of beef jerky, but that don't matter. He still did that.
That's a great line.
I'm going to get him if I chase the whole territory. And I can do it. I can ride that old bronc. I'll put my old bull spurs on, and I'll ride him. And after I get through with him, I'm going out in the pickup and get my Sunbeam horse clippers about that big. I'm going to wind them up, and I'm going to make him just slick-headed like I am.
Well, there you have it. Bob Ellis has a purpose in being here. As you know, Outlaw Ron Bass has been back in the area a short time now.
We know that.
He's created quite a sensation.
But, yeah, so I love your research, but I got to lower you here.
My Uncle Frank he got him a little old mountain lion once, going to make a deer hound out of him. And he got big enough, and they started chasing deer one time. It killed old deer, and that old mountain lion pounced on him, and Uncle Frank went over to get the mountain lion off, and boy, just chomp, 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 ate Uncle Frank up, and that's exactly what he is. You can't trust this no good Ron Bass, and I'm going to get him.
We hope you're there.
We need more Bob Ellis on these shows. I'm sure he's retired by this point, but why?
I love him. He's great.
The Turk. I love that. The Turk.
Oh,
And here's
Fantastic.
Bob Ellis. Yes.
The next event is Cowboy Bob Ellis. Tells you why he's here.
Um,
Man with a mission.
but
Takes
yeah,
a look
we
at
we had the
York
Turk
Region.
on a few
This is
times
who. Here's Bill
back in
Hart.
the day on Mid South. I forget what I thought they said his name was, but it's Ali Bay. Um, I just remember it didn't sound like Ali Bay when they said it. And actually, we talk about Bob Ellis. He's not long for the wrestling world. His last match is on September 22nd of '78.
Oh.
Yep. Now, Ron Bass apparently came into the territory and shaved poor Bob Ellis's head. And, you know, Ron Bass does not have a good history of hair versus hair matches. Remember, he lost to a brother Brutus Beefcake.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And then he immediately got fired from WWE. Kind of funny how that works. Bob Ellis, by the
Yeah, how
way,
about
is
that?
according to the always reliable Wikipedia, Bob Ellis is still alive. Do you want to guess how
Oh
old this
wow,
man
how
is?
okay. This is 1978.
So I guess make a guess whether you
Uh
want to guess how old he is here or how old he is now.
uh 90.
Right now, well, that higher.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't think that he's 90 here in 1978. 95.
Next Sunday, the 15th, he turns 96.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
happy almost
yeah.
birthday to Cowboy Bob Ellis.
We tip our
We
hat
should
to you, Cowboy Bob Ellis. We should
we
have a
should
Bob
throw a
Ellis
party.
appreciation
We should
episode.
throw a party for like Cowboy Bob Ellis and Bill Mercer, all the like guys who were still alive in their 90s.
And when people ask, well, where are they? Why didn't they come? I'm like, oh, we didn't actually invite them to the show.
I mean,
Or to
you don't want to travel when you're that old.
I barely want to travel now.
No. Have you ever gone on a cruise, Aria?
I have not. I always kind of want to, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. But how about you?
We never have, and friends of ours are trying to they're trying to put together so we can do a group rate. And I think we've almost talked ourselves into it, and it's funny because I used to be like if I want to go on a vacation, I want to do something or see something interesting. And I guess I finally reached the age where I'm like 5 days where I don't have to make any decision more complicated than do I want a cheeseburger or sushi right now. That sounds like a good time to me.
Indeed. Part of me kind of wants to go on the Jericho cruise just because I know a
Yeah.
lot of people who go on that, but part of me is also
Yeah.
like Jericho's a really big douche and I don't want to give him my money. Um,
Yeah, I don't know.
so
I think
you
Jericho
said
is
Mhm.
a lot of nuance there.
A lot of nuance.
What were you
So
saying?
you said it's friends of ours. By friends of ours, you mean me and you, or you and Mrs. Trey?
Me and Mrs. Trey.
Okay, I guess that makes more sense.
I assume if it was
By the way,
friends of ours, you would have been invited to.
Alfred Neely is the referee, and it's always funny because he's like the one referee who always wears long sleeves.
Huh.
Yeah,
Does he have a bunch of tattoos and shit we don't know about?
I have no idea. I think that he's just comfortable that way. So where do you
Yeah.
think they are? Do you think they're in the Irish O'Neill Boys Club? Because I mean, you're looking like when it's looking that way, like first of all, that back wall isn't a wall, it's just a curtain. And when you're looking that way, there's a big gap of space, like there is in the Irish O'Neill Boys Club, because it's a real, gymnasium type location.
It honestly, it could be the Irishman Mill Boys Club.
I'll be honest, if it is, well, what do you think? Do you like it better with the backdrop curtain or without it? I'm partial to without it, you know. But I think that's also because I've been watching for years now without the curtain. So with the curtain just looks weird.
Uh, yeah. Well, they might have done some. They might have done some renovations.
Well, Bob Ellis won with a bulldog.
There we go.
Yeah.
Did he kind of invent the bulldog? He's usually the name that people associate with inventing the bulldog headlock, right?
I I honestly don't know. I've never heard anybody mention it. Um, hmm. I mean,
Okay,
someone had to.
I found a post on the Wrestling Classics message board that is about a McGuirk TV taping in 1976, and it was from the KTBS TV3 studios in Shreveport.
Okay. So okay, this is an
This,
actual TV
yeah.
studio. Well, this is also an
Hey,
actual TV studio, but it's
there's Bill Irwin
Georgia.
again.
Yeah, Bill Irwin, who by the way, Boyd, when he pitched it to it, called him Bill Irving, versus our North American champion apparently, Ernie Ladd.
Yeah.
And so, according to Google, and please, take this with whatever grain of salt you want. The inventor of the bulldog is a man by the name of Bill Pickett, who invented bulldogging, a rodeo event where a cowboy wrestles a steer to the ground, which does not feel like the right thing. Let's see here.
I don't think he gets credit with introducing it to pro wrestling.
Yeah, every time I keep seeing it, I keep seeing Bill Pickett, Bill Pickett, Bill Pickett. Fuck Bill Pickett.
We got nothing against Bill Pickett.
Yeah. Apparently, this is, well, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is from Reddit. It's named after the rodeo move, where you're essentially doing that to a steer.
Yeah, I believe that somebody saw that and thought that I bet I could fucking do that in the ring.
Yeah. Apparently, they grab the steer by the horns and pulling it off balance so it falls to the ground. Which, I mean, not quite exactly a bulldog as we know it, but it makes as good a sense as any, I guess.
That's a good thing to remember as far as like just if you just ever happen to be in a difficult situation with a steer, you just got to remember to bulldog headlock the steer.
I thought you were gonna say if you're ever in a difficult situation with another person, and you're like trying to, whatchamacallit, take them off base. Just like, hey, did you know the origins of the bulldog is from rodeo? You know that Arya could not remember the fucking word she was trying to think of while telling this story?
It's funny just how many of those little things that we kind of learn from wrestling and just internalize it. Like, if falling, like if you can try to take a flat back bump, like, or I had another example that I was gonna, I don't know, whatever this was.
Okay, we are two brilliant, great podcasters. And yes, I call this brilliant, great and brilliant. Oh my God!
Sorry, I'm in Iran.
I think we're both drunk tonight. What is in this iced tea I'm drinking?
Oh, was it a twisted tea?
No, it's 4C. I don't know.
Oh.
Ernie Ladd shockingly picked the win. So Bill Irwin is 0-2 this week.
Darn.
What the? Yeah. Okay, so there's gonna be a promo coming up, and I did not catch this man's name when I played it the first time, and so I'm gonna ask you to be quiet for a second so I can play this, and you tell me if you can figure out who the hell they say this man's name is.
Okay.
Right now, along with us.
Not Rock Hunter. That one's pretty easy.
All the wrestling fans throughout this entire area are quite familiar with the name Siegfried Stonka. You've seen him in action many, many times. But
Siegfried Stonka.
You may not be quite so familiar with because he is not native to this area, but internationally known, not only as a fine wrestler, but recently as a guider of professional wrestling.
So what'd you say his name is?
Well, I think you can...
Hold on. I think I got it. Siegfried Stonka.
Who the hell comes up with a name like Siegfried Stonka?
He won't stop moving
That might be his name. Might be in his fucking
Uh,
birth certificate. Let's see. He
I,
also wrestled as spoiler number 2 and Bill Lehman.
who the hell would name their child spoiler
Oh,
number 2?
hey, I found out something interesting from Siegfried Stonka's page cage match profile. It has a section for background in sports, and would you believe it? Siegfried Stonka played a little football.
He's wrestling in Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Mississippi. It's the law. By the way, he's doing calisthenics during Rock Hunter's entire promo.
Yeah,
Doing some deep squats here. You know,
I haven't seen a ton of Rock Hunter. I know him by reputation mostly, but he just seems like a delightful scumbag.
yes. Honestly,
Could
like
you
he's giving
imagine?
off.
Could you imagine Rock Hunter managing Jimmy Del Rey?
That'd be a tremendous team. But I thought he was giving off Gary Hart vibes.
Yeah, that's it. He's a scummier Gary Hart.
It's funny. I would never refer to Gary Hart as scummy, especially if
Well,
you
I
read his
wouldn't
book. He
refer
could
to
kick everybody's ass.
no, I wouldn't refer to Gary Hart as scummy either. I'm just saying, Rock Hudson is like a Gary Hart if Gary Hart was scummy.
By the way, did you hear the name of that man?
No, did you get it?
El Mongol.
Outstanding. And who's the fellow in the green
Okay,
pants?
I've tried 3 or 4 times that I could swear the name I got was Wade Holt.
Wade Hull.
Wade Holt.
Wade Holt.
Holt.
Okay.
Yes. By the way, did you ever read Gary Hart's book?
No, it's really like impossible to find the proper book. I think there's like a PDF of a draft floating around.
Yeah, that's the one I read. And to be honest, it's a very good book, but it gets old by the end. Him talking about how he could kick everybody's ass. He would not shut up in his book about he could kick everybody's ass. And it ended up being it whether or not he really believed this. It ended up being so political because the book came out in like 2000, or the book was written in like 2004, 2005, and the only two people he has nice things to say about are Vince McMahon and Dusty Rhodes. And that's when Dusty was booking TNA.
Oh, well,
It's like everybody else in that book got shit on, except for Dusty and Vince McMahon. It's like, you know what? It was a good book, but I could have lived with that. But the El Mongol did pick up the win. It's either Wade Holt or Wayne Holt. Who knows? Either way, Wayne Holt is not long for this here wrestling world. Not sure why. I don't know if he ever becomes anybody, but I don't remember seeing him anywhere.
oh, another cowboy.
It's Ron Bass.
Oh,
Is
there we
this
go.
is his hat really small, or is it just because he's got big hair?
You know, it's a good question.
Randy Brewer. So you know,
Oh, so
if
if
your
they
beer if your beer factory was horny, it's a Randy Brewer.
if your beer tastes funny, you might have had a Randy Brewer.
Ooh. And now Bill Watts is on commentary. It's like I'm sure he was the rest of it too, but you know, it's always hilarious how Bill just takes over, you know, the commentary. Now Ron Bass, he's one of those guys that like when I got into wrestling in '91, he was already long off the national scene. I never really thought much of him, but then again, you go back looking at the WWF of the late '80s, where all my tapes were coming from. There wasn't a lot to say about anybody on those shows. And Ron
Yeah,
Bass was kind of bland.
we've talked about that a lot on these Mid South and World Class reviews.
Now, I know this is going to be a wacky move here, but so Ron Bass was always considered a bit dull, At least when I was a kid, he was a bit dull. But, even when I was a kid to now, the all-time dullest wrestler is Dino Bravo. But I'm wondering if it's just because Bravo had a lot more of a run than Ron Bass did. Ron Bass came in like 87 and was gone at the beginning of 89.
See,
And
I
Bravo.
think
Mhm.
with all due respect to those that are no longer with us, I think Dino Bravo might have just sucked.
Oh yeah, Dino Bravo definitely sucked, but there are some people out there, they will defend Dino Bravo, like there's no tomorrow. Like, did he buy you a house or something? Did he buy you a truck? You know?
Well, if he did, you might want to be fucking careful because there's no telling where that money came from.
If we find a pickup truck with a whole bunch of holes, bullet holes in it, we might know where they came from. I gotta say that's a way to die. And
Yeah, that's rough.
never cross the mob or the mafia or whatever.
Mm-mm.
If you're selling cigarettes, you give them the money that you're supposed to give them, or don't let them into your house. 'Cause apparently there was no like it wasn't like they broke down the door. He let them in the house.
So,
Right? But he of course talked about Dino Bravo, not Ron Bass or Randy Brewer, the people in the ring.
the fellow who was my, shall we say, my independent street pharmacy consultant, he, my wife asked me, like, is he Cartel? And I'm like, well, fucking Hispanic guy in his early 20s with a bunch of tattoos, maybe.
Oh
And
my
she was like,
God.
well, you better not fucking upset him. I'm like, why would I upset him? I love that guy.
I was going to say, why do you have to have an independent person on the street like that? I'm like, oh yeah, you live in Texas. Not every state is as cool about these things as Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, Randy Brewer has a lot of guts here. He's making a comeback here on Ron Bass, and now he just gave a headbutt to the bottom of Ron Bass's foot.
If you're gonna be a Randy Brewer, you gotta have balls.
And indeed, that was a weird falling power slam. It's like he went for a body
Yeah,
slam, and in the middle of it was like, oh shit, let me do a power slam instead.
yeah, it was a body slam trying to be a power slam.
Yeah. Oh no, Bob Ellis is coming to the ring and is confronting Ron Bass. But Alfred Neely, thankfully, is holding him back. And
Okay, I'm not bothered by the bald head and the black trunks and the black boots, but the lack of knee pads is disconcerting.
I thought you'd watched enough New Japan by now to be used to that. I didn't realize Bob Ellis was a young boy.
Young boy at
Oh
heart.
Lord. Here's the only thing missing. We don't have like the computer graphic of a replay of the end of the match with the up next stuff at the bottom there.
Yeah, they hadn't got that technology yet.
No. The Brute. He's
Oh,
a very
excellent.
happy Brute.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, Jose Lothario, who doesn't look like he's 61 years old right here.
Okay. I wonder if the guy in the job match earlier was one of Jose's students, because I swear, as soon as I saw him, I thought those looked like Jose Lothario's tights.
Were you talking about the Turk?
No, the guy
Is
in
he?
the green,
Wade
pants.
Holt?
Yeah,
Wade
Wade
Holt?
Holt. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Was Jose Lothario training people this early?
Maybe, I don't know.
Let's
He's like in the
see.
same kind of geographical area, so.
I mean, that's possible. Let's see here. Okay. So 411 Mania reviewed the show, and they didn't really go into this here. They said Holt's entire look makes me wish that teenage Jim Cornette was in the business by this point. Okay, thanks. And apparently El Mongol is going to go on to become Cousin Luke in the WWF. Not Bushwhacker Luke, but
okay,
Cousin
I see
Hillbilly
that.
Jim Cousin Luke. Wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't he fucking in World Class?
Who?
The Mongol, wasn't Cousin Luke? Like, who the fuck was that we had in fucking World Class
It
who was one of the
the Mongol.
hillbillies?
The Mongol?
Was it the Mongol?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, so fuck the Mongol. Oh, Lord. This is apparently the main event. So the popular little midget wrestlers are the standby match.
Okay. Oh, well. They should have been on first. You got to give the real main event time.
I know, right? And by the real main event, you're talking about the popular midget stars, not
yeah. Well,
the Brute
maybe
versus Jose Lothario.
Maybe it's just because it's the popular midget stars and not the little midget girl wrestlers.
Yes, that's true. Let's see. Should probably not have backed out of that here. Let's hear it. The Brute? Oh my God! Do you know who the Brute is? The Brute?
Who?
Bugsy McGraw.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's a little out there, huh?
Yeah.
By the way, another person who is still alive.
Bugsy McGraw?
79. Yeah. 79 years old. Yeah.
Would not have guessed.
Yep. Do you remember when he was in TNA?
I haven't seen enough of either. I always confuse Bugsy McGraw and Buzz Sawyer for some reason. Like they exist in the same compartment in my mind.
I like that I asked you if you remember Bugsy McGraw on TNA. You're like, I haven't seen enough Bugsy McGraw or Buzz Sawyer. Like, okay.
Well, that's true.
Well, Bugsy McGraw was in TNA for some reason. In like 2008, 2009, he was one of the security geeks.
Oh, really? That's so random.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
ref bump.
Oh, no. And he went head first out of the ring. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Whoever the referee was, they went head fucking first out. They slid out head first. Like, dude, come on.
He's going to come off the top rope.
Oh, no.
Is that illegal?
That might be a disqualification. Oh, he missed because Jose Lothario used superior speed.
Okay, well, he didn't jump off. He fell off. Is that an assassin?
It's the assassin, or a assassin at least. Or maybe it's one of the killer bees. Remember when they had the yellow masks?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, now an assassin is going to the top rope. So the referee fell on his head, came back in the ring to count to 1. He's counting while the assassin is jumping off the top rope.
You know, I think the argument can be made that was falling more than jumping.
Okay, while the assassin was falling off the top rope, but he was falling, then that shouldn't have counted. Like, it was an accident. He accidentally fell on Jose Lothario.
Well, okay, to be fair, he was interfering in the match, and it should have been disqualification anyway.
Okay. But I guess how can you prove that he was attempting to fall on Jose Lothario? Maybe he was attempting to fall on the Brute.
Well. By the way, did I tell you? You may remember some weeks back I spilled a soda on my keyboard when we were doing the podcast.
Yes.
This week I treated myself. I got a mechanical keyboard, which I never knew that I wanted until I had one.
Your clackety clack clack keyboard?
I am clackety clacking like a motherfucker, man. It's very sad. It's like a little dopamine drip. I like the clacking, and it I find that the feedback helps me type more accurately and faster. So that and my new mouse were both good things.
You are really treating yourself this week. New books, a new keyboard, a new mouse? I guess you had the mouse.
Yeah.
We were talking about that on Tuesday. Or Thursday, whenever the hell you were talking about it.
Yeah, it was I shouldn't have. It was just that the Al Getz books were literally, I guess he was pissed off at Amazon, so he had a deal where if you ordered the books on his website and used the promo code Fuck Bezos, they were like 20% off a piece.
Nice.
Maybe
As
more than
someone
that. They were
who
like,
as someone who hates Amazon, every time I get my check from them, I'm with him on that one.
yeah, yeah. And I really needed the mouse and keyboard though.
but by the way, we do need to, get this out of the way. We like to say this every time we have the little people wrestling. It's 1978. The accepted terminology at the time is not the accepted terminology of 2025. However, the accepted phrase for wrestlers of smaller stature at the time is midgets. No, this is not something that you would call it in 2025. However, we're not watching 2025 wrestling, we're watching 1978 wrestling. With that said, the
These are
match
not
that we're. Mhm.
these are not minis. These are not the
Yeah,
mini luchadors. These are the midget wrestlers. And I mean
yes.
that with love and admiration.
Yes. Nothing but love and respect for these guys. And it's World Midget Champion Little Tokyo teaming with Lord Littlebrook versus Butch Cassidy, who's the one in the ring in the blue tights getting beaten up by Little Tokyo, and his partner Cowboy Lang. Now, Butch Cassidy, again, I'm just going from Roddy Piper's book, which you always got to take that with a grain of salt. Butch Cassidy apparently has a really huge penis. And I think we discussed this once upon a time on this show because in case the first time you ever listened to this show, we're sorry you're never going to listen again. But we are obsessed with the genitals of our wrestlers here. And I think we are talking about this when we're talking about George Weingroff's massive penis, in that the little people are said to have large penises. But the question is, do they really have a large penis, or is it compared to the size of their body, it's a large penis?
I do believe that George Weingroff's penis is the size of Butch Cassidy.
Well, I was more talking about the size of Butch Cassidy's penis.
Uh, I don't know. Plus or minus Lanny Poffo, I guess.
I guarantee there will be somebody out there at some point, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but at some point, someone's going to find one of our videos, this one in particular, and read the description of the show. And they're going to see me say,
Oh my god!
plus they discuss the penis size of little people.
Little
Uh,
Tokyo, the way he jumped into the air off of that atomic drop was fantastic.
by the way, Cowboy Lang, another cowboy on this show, with the letter U on his ass.
Yeah,
It's apparently a horseshoe, but
that's a
uh,
horseshoe, Arya.
I know, but it's the letter U. You should probably tell me more about UK football. I'm never going to let myself down for that one.
Funny.
Television time remaining. We don't have much time left on this show this week. And poor Alfred Neely is the referee for this one. He's not, the fastest referee out there. I would not put him out there with the little people because you need someone younger and sprier who's running around a lot. And Alfred Neely is not that person.
Yeah.
They're getting the heat again on Cowboy Lang. We're getting 2 heat segments in the midget tag team match. Which is the midget tag team match went to the expiration of time.
Wow.
Oh Lord. Ooh, Jose Lothario versus Ernie Ladd next week.
Oh.
Stephen Little Bear is apparently the name of Ray Candy's partner.
Oh.
Championship Wrestling Television Network. This is Mid-South to the T. Championship Wrestling Television Network.
It's
so we're
kind
gonna
of
just
like,
let play it here.
it's kind of like
ahead.
how the original. It's kind of like how the original All In isn't technically AEW, but it is.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people on that show who either are not or were not at some point a part of AEW. Like, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I just got on the list. It's like basically Marty Scurll and Nick Aldis wasn't in, and Rey Mysterio. That may be it.
The wrestler that did the dick flip, thankfully.
Oh yeah, he never was. I just kind of assumed that he was, just because they brought in everybody else. So why not?
Arya, my wife, went with me to All In, and I had to explain that segment to her, and I was so embarrassed.
I I just remember reading The Observer around the time when like all that stuff was happening on Being the Elite, and I'm like, how the hell is this shit like the popular in stuff? Like it like when the penis druids came out, that's when I was like, okay, this is too much. Wasn't it Hangman versus Stephen Amell?
Yeah, okay. No, it was Hangman against Joey Janela. Stephen Amell
Oh,
wrestled Christopher Daniels.
okay. E- I don't say even worse because not that you know I don't want to compare Joey Janela to Joey Ryan, at least their personalities, but I'm not a fan of
No,
either of
we're
them
not
in the
gonna
ring.
look. I may not love Joey Janela as a wrestler, but at least to the best of my knowledge, okay, I'm not gonna say he's not a scumbag because he's
He's a
Joey
different kind
Janela,
of
but
scumbag.
he's the kind of scumbag that I wouldn't that I would associate with.
Okay. So anyway, what were you gonna
Like,
say?
what was I gonna say?
We
What
were
was I
talking
talking
about the
about?
penis druids.
Oh, yeah, just it was really embarrassing because I had to explain Dick Druids to my wife who is blind and doesn't know things about wrestling. And yeah, but
Her
I
and Leroy McGuirk would have
apparently,
been friends.
oh, yeah, well, I bet she could have taught him a lot and vice versa.
Yeah. He could have taught her about booking or something.
I'd love to hear Leroy's thoughts on booking. I would really love, as someone who likes to study booking and has found that it's very difficult thing because it's kind of nebulous because nobody ever really put straightforward lessons on it. There should be more like specifically of bookers kind of writing about their booking philosophies.
By the way, it would have been really interesting for you to have been sitting next to Leroy McGuirk at All In. Leroy McGuirk died September 9th, 1988.
Oh, I was 1 year and a week old.
I
I
was
was
I was a little
is
over
it
a month away
September
from
8th?
turning 4. September 9th.
September 8th. Okay, September 9th. I was 1 year, 1 week, and 2 days old.
Well, we could lie and, say you were 1 month or 1 year, 1 month, and 1 week old, or 1 week, 1 day old.
We are honest people on this here podcast.
Yes. We do not want this to come up in like some sort of a deposition 20 years from now,
No, that'd be
you know.
embarrassing.
Yes. And
I found something.
insinuating that,
I was scrolling Facebook and I found something that I want.
okay.
It's a ceramic pipe that one might use for Iranian tobacco, but it's shaped like a crumpled up soda can.
That seems up your alley.
I really want it. I saw someone posted a picture of one on Facebook and just said, "Never forget where you came from."
So I guess we should before we wrap things up here, we should talk about the schedule. So next week you have a life, and so we're not going to be available to do this on Friday night. Then the following
Yeah,
week, if the following week we have some options because WWE just started the WCW YouTube page, and while there's a lot of good stuff now, undoubtedly there's going to be even a lot more good stuff by then. But we also talked about doing Heroes of Wrestling, and
yeah.
you know,
which I've
we could
never
do,
actually watched.
yeah. And my thought was, I don't want to sit here and do a 2.5 hour podcast, even though we seem to do one of those every week. But my thought is do half and half. Like do, half the show in 2 weeks and do the other half of the show in 3 weeks. But we have some time. We'll figure something out here. And of course, if I post the show and it gets like one view, it's like, okay, the people have spoken. No more of this. But yeah. So
I mean, I
I
don't
think
know. It's still a fun thing to do on a Friday evening with your friend, I guess. You
in,
know.
indeed it is. Indeed it is. Plus, we still have to get your friend on here too. We may have to keep
Yeah,
going until
yeah.
we have to keep going until he makes his appearance. You can tell him the Hangman Page story.
I'll
Um,
the next maybe if we ask real nicely, they'll put up some more Omni house shows on the WWE Vault.
Although now that they have the WCW page, why wouldn't they just put them up on the WCW page?
I halfway thought that you were gonna say that, and um, here's the thing. Technically, the company that we're
I I
the
know.
company that promoted the okay.
I
Okay.
I know it's not technically it, but it's more it than WWE.
Well, no,
I
because
know, I know, but
because
technically,
Vince bought the
yeah,
stock in that Georgia, like that was the office that he bought the Black Friday thing. So that's,
Trey, I'm going to throw something at you.
but yet I think you're right in that he didn't own any of the Georgia footage came with the WCW purchase, right?
I honestly don't know where it came from, to be honest. He may have actually
Oh,
already had it and just never used it. Because I mean, technically, it's it.
oh,
I mean, it would have been him and Ole. Like, who would have owned it though? Because like him and
TNT
Ole were
or
the last two
TBS.
owners, I guess. But TBS owns random Omni house shows from 1982.
They
Like,
do
I,
if they were left in the custody of their fucking TV studio for 20 years.
I don't know. Well,
I don't know.
anywho, we're gonna wrap things up because hey, we've heard from the people, and some of y'all actually like when the show only goes an hour.
Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna end this thing. Listen to the Something Else Podcast Network. Listen to the Oh My God cast. And thank you all for listening. Hope you all enjoyed week 2. And we'll see whenever I get this thing actually up because I still gotta insert the video into the middle of it. But take care and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.